Idaho homeowners are getting letters that their insurance is being canceled. Could you be next? Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, hit that subscribe button, tap the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. Our team gets calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. So if you guys are thinking about making the move, don't reach out and be like, we moved here a year ago. We love your content. And don't use us. That's rude. This is what we do for a living. All right, here we go. All right. Dave and I are well qualified to talk about this. I feel like, Dave being a former firefighter, my house formerly burning down in a wildfire. We're going to talk about the rate increases and cancellations that are going on with wildfire insurance right now, our opinions on why that's happening, and could it happen to you? Here we go. Dave.
What?
All right, let's jump into some numbers. Okay, so this is shocking to me when I was reading this. I was doing a little research on this. Rate increases, so this is for homeowners insurance in Idaho, has increased 46% from 2021 to 2023. That's pretty wild to me. That's in total, obviously. I think there's some politics involved in that, right? We don't have crippling wildfires up here. We've had some, and I'm not discrediting anyone that's lost a home. I've been there, but you know, it's not like other places, right?
Yeah. Insurance there has to be politics involved in anything that you're required to have, right? I mean, this is a governmental mandate for loans and everything else. Now, you know, obviously when you start seeing these prices go up, I don't know if you could convince me that 46% jump.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way you could convince me that 46% jump was because of incidents here in Idaho. Mm-hmm. The fact is that these insurance companies are tied all across the U.S., and there are areas geographically that suffer way more hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, all this stuff. Wildfires being the big thing, and really you're looking at California, Oregon, and Washington where you're dealing with these, right?
Yep.
Places that have failed, Colorado, places that have failed to mitigate their forest because somebody doesn't want a tree knocked down, right? We obviously have a logging community up here and a long history of that, not something I've been part of, but something that's kept our forests very, very healthy. So I think it's very political, and I'd say it's very political because, once again, I don't think that there's regulation that is specific to states or the actual regions, right? They're tying us in with other regions that have suffered way bigger disasters, and honestly, it's Idahoans having to pay for it.
So they're sharing the load is what they're doing.
100%, right? And I think there are ways to do that. There's certain things that you need everybody in the U.S., everybody in a nation to share the load. Insurance is becoming one of those that is so frustrating because you can literally have a state like California create conditions that will cripple communities, right? And then all of a sudden the rest of the United States have to pay for that, where you have somebody else that might mitigate their forest better or have better fire mitigation. And they're doing all the right things, but they're still having their rates increase, and that kind of sucks.
That does suck. Yeah, you're right. And you know, I know California, for example, that's where my house burned down. We went through the ringer with that. So a week after my house burned down, you know, and we had great insurance, I thought. Good coverage. We were like, okay, this sucks, but we're going to be okay. And then a week later, I was actually on Facebook when I found out that my insurance company went bankrupt. And that was an absolute kick to the nuts because you do everything right and you expect this company to uphold their part of the agreement. Right. And then that happens.
Yeah, no, it sucks. And like I said, so that's why I said it. I think it's one of those things that's really hard for some people to carry the load of saying, why did my insurance go up 46%?
Right.
We'll get to the statistics here in a little bit, but I think I've been on fires bigger than what Idaho suffered last year.
Yes, for sure.
Like,
I'm
that's
sure you
crazy.
Have. Yeah.
So
and you know, I know California is like, they have the California Fair Plan. We call it the unfair plan because when all the insurance companies drop you, that's the only option for insurance, and it's through the state of California. It's insanely expensive. My parents had a 3,500 square foot house. It was on some acreage in Northern California, and their insurance was going to go up to $13,000 a year. So over $1,000 a month just for wildfire insurance. Right. They had all the, you know, defensible space. Everything was done right. That's just what it was. And that's not manageable for people on a fixed income. So they had to move.
100%.
It's crazy to even think about that. Back to my house burning down. Here's another thing that California had, which was good for my experience, maybe not good for the taxpayers, but California had a California Insurance Guarantee Association. So that picked up our claim and paid us a majority of it, not all of it, but a majority of it. So it did save us. I don't think anything like that exists in Idaho.
I'm not aware of anything. And I know that you went through a lot more struggles, not to get into that because that's a whole friggin' podcast.
You don't want me to cry. You don't want me to cry on the air, do you?
No. But, all the stuff that you went through with that and trying to get back the money for your land and selling things and everything else was just a hassle.
It sucks. And as a result of those kind of wildfires in California, a lot of people were getting non-renewals and cancellations. Yep. It is happening here a little bit, which is kind of a shocker to me. I'm seeing a lot is down in the Boise area, the Boise Foothills.
Yep.
I don't know if they have a lot of wildfires down there, but they're getting the brunt of it. And in fact, homeowners insurance policies down there jumped 60% in 1 year from one of the articles that I found. So that's crazy.
It is. So, and I think that there should be, with insurance, it's one of those things when people say, well, it's stupid that I should have insurance. Well, I don't disagree with you, except for the fact that when you're asking somebody else for money, which the government has created a system, right?
Yep.
Where nobody can really go out and afford a home. You have to get a loan. 90% of those being government backed. Well, if the government's going to give you a loan, there's going to be stipulations, right? And so they're going to give you that and they're going to require you to get insurance, and sometimes certain types of insurance, special insurance, whatever else it might be. And then we come up with this fire map on who's in a high density area. I've been to some that they're told, oh, we're in my house. I'm in a fire zone that's like 100 danger. Yeah. It's like at the top. I would sit in my house. If a fire was burning up the hill, I wouldn't even leave.
I looked at it and I'm like, you have a great defense, and I trust your opinion on that. Obviously,
I wouldn't even leave. I would sit there and I would watch it burn. I have trees all around me. I'm not worried about that, barring the crazy wind effect, right? That we don't typically get up here. I would just sit at my house. But they will come out and they will look at your home, and if there is not defensible space, if they're looking at big trees, to be honest, that's really what they look at, which really aren't the hazard. It's the smaller brush, it's the underbrush, it's the clearings in between, right? It's that buildup, the ladder fuels, stuff like that.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, most wildfires are the ladder fuels being burned.
They are.
It's rare you see it get into the trees. Paradise was like that when our house burned down. I mean, that was unstoppable. It was like 200-foot flames.
But you were also dealing with wind.
It was insanely windy that day too, yes. I haven't seen any fires up here. I know it can happen, and it's happened in history, but since we've been up here, I haven't seen any fires like that. They're just ladder fuels burning.
Yeah, and even those, they mitigate so well up here. I mean, they've cleared the forest, so you have a lot of healthy trees. And a lot of those trees, you even look at like the lodge poles and stuff, they won't even carry a lot of foliage on the lower side. They'll be green only at the top, because that's where they receive the sun, so everything else will break down. So you just don't have a lot of stuff underneath. But when we talk about this, one of the things that it says in here is that 90 out of 91 insurance companies, 22 to 25 have left the state.
Yeah, that's wild.
So if you're leaving Idaho, I don't know where you're insuring people at.
Right.
Like, I don't know where it is. Nevada, maybe?
Yeah, it's probably pretty cheap.
It's like rocks,
not a whole lot of shit to burn down there.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that these numbers surprise me. And so Idaho had 1 million acres burned in 2024. That's not that much.
No, dude, read the rest of it.
200 structures destroyed, 40 homes lost.
I've literally been on individual fires where more has happened.
Right.
Literally, I've been on fires where we've had hundreds, if not 1,000 structures, right? And hundreds of homes, whole communities. How many homes were in Paradise?
I want to say like 14,000 or something. It was a ridiculous amount.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, right? That's why it's very, very surprising to me that insurance up here is going up. And for anybody to say it's not political, you are sharing the load with other states and other areas that don't mitigate risk as well.
Yeah.
Or have gigantic risk and still allow people to build in those areas, right?
It's got to be that. We also have to factor in, so cost of rebuilding and repairs have gone up, whether it's inflation, supply chain issues, things like that. So I understand that it does hit insurance companies harder when you do have these multiple structures destroyed in a fire.
Yep.
But once again, it hasn't been a huge issue in Idaho.
So can we talk about just mitigating real quick?
Yeah,
Because I
please.
see on here you got WUI, which you always use in the fire department, Wildland Urban Interface, right? So we're talking about areas, when you talked about Boise, the areas that people are targeting are the foothills, right? Because you're starting to get that interface with the forest and stuff like that. And whenever you do that, you also have slope and everything else that you're starting to deal with. But if you're going to mitigate a home, the biggest thing, you don't have to cut down all your big trees. The truth is, to get a crown fire where you get a fire running the top of the trees, I promise you, it doesn't matter what you do. If you get those conditions with that type of wind, nothing that you've done, I've seen fires jump over 8 dozer lines.
Right.
Airdrops, everything else, because you have wind and other things that affect it. So if you get a crowning fire, typically those conditions exist. Don't worry about your big trees. Here's what you got to do. Start from your home out. Get rid of all the pine needles on your roof and in your gutters.
Oh, number one.
All the time, man. You got gables that are open, things like that. You get all these pine needles. Those are what catch fire. You have a little ember that drops in there, and then that catches, and next thing you know, a home goes. 90% of the homes that I went on, it was not direct flame impingement that got the home going. It was typically something on the house that caught fire. So if you can mitigate those types of risk, I mean, you have fiber cement on the side of your house, you have a good asphalt shingle or tile roof, or even metal up here.
Yeah.
Those aren't going to catch fire, but those gutters are going to. You're going to have a ton of pine needles and leaves and everything else. Keep those clean. Second of all, anything up against your house. Okay, your house has flame resistance, fire resistance, but if you have a bunch of bushes right up against it, you'll see it on inspections all the time. Get those back from your house. And then realistically, the next and the only thing that you can really do, they talk about clearing 100 feet. Do not clear the big trees 100 feet away. Once again, that condition is not going to change your home. What is going to change is those ladder fuels. If you can get everything 6 feet and down, if you can get rid of that for 100 feet out, man, I would sit at that house all day. That's what we would call in the fire department it's still threatened, a threatened defensible structure. That means the fire department's willing to put an engine on it and sit there and protect your fire because they've mitigated the risk to life and they realize that you have a defensible space. It's not about clearing everything. It's about clearing those fuels that are 6 feet and more and less.
So my house in Paradise, I had giant pine trees all around me, and it was really windy. And I left for work that morning, and I could see the pine needles just piling in the gutters, and then the 2 cords of really dry oak that I had stacked against the house.
Yeah,
you're telling me I was wrong for that?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably.
I think you might be right, but I bet that oak burned really nicely.
I bet it did.
And that's okay. So that's why you see up here, people parking out around the house.
Yep.
And it looks beautiful too. But, if you live in a very heavy forested area, a lot of times some people will hire someone to come out with a masticator and just masticate all the brush. And I got to be careful using that word. I get it wrong sometimes.
Yeah,
and
keep it right.
and clear out all of the ladder fuels around the house, keeping the tall pine trees. It looks very nice, and it's very defensible for fires.
Right, absolutely. So I said those 3 things: get pine needles off your roof and out of your gutters, get brush up against your house away from it, and then cut everything down that's less than 6 feet up to 100 feet away from your home. And by the way, it looks actually really nice.
It does.
Right? You kind of clear it out. It looks like a park.
Yeah.
And then everything else, let it stay natural.
And keep in mind, okay, so I also live in a enhanced wildfire zone, is I think what they call it here. When we bought our house, we went through our normal insurance company, use the name, it doesn't matter. And they wanted us to cut like ridiculous everything. We had these beautiful big old maple trees, like stuff like that. And I'm like, it's not even an issue. So we ended up shopping around and finding another insurance company that didn't ask us to do all of that.
Yep, that was the same with us. We were told we had to tear down a tree house that was on our property.
Right.
We had to fill in some concrete. We had to tear down my wood shed. I'm like, no, I'm not doing any of that.
That's dumb.
Yeah. So I went to somebody else and I'm fine. We're
Yes.
$2,400 a year.
So there you go. I was going to bring that up in a second. So if don't be afraid to shop around for insurance companies. We do it every couple of years, I would say, and we switch and oftentimes save money. Every time save money. So keep that in mind. Like, you don't have to stay with the insurance company you've been with for 20 years. Doesn't mean they're the best. And yes, so cost of insurance up here. You are in an enhanced wildfire zone.
Yep.
You've got some acreage. You've got a nice home.
We got 8 acres. We got about 4,000 square foot.
I got to rub it in, dude.
We have a lot. What?
So you got more acreage.
So you got 5?
Yeah.
I bought that one only
I see
because
the
it had
look
more.
every time you say that.
No, but we have a log home too, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that in California they'd look at it and be like, "No way, we're not insuring that." Right. And we're, I think, $2,200 or $2,400 a year for our policy.
Yeah, I'm right around 2,000. I don't have as much acreage as Dave, but I'm right. I'm right around 2,000. So the numbers here are not astronomical by any means yet. Let's hope they stay that way. There's no reason they shouldn't. And so just kind of expect that if you're buying a home on some acreage that is in an enhanced wildfire zone, it's not going to be $13,000 a year. You'll be probably in that $2,000, $2,500 range.
Yep. And if you guys get letters that say you're going to get canceled or anything else, reach out to us. Happy to give you recommendations. We work with a lot of insurance agents out here. And, really it's just about you being able to shop around and find somebody that can handle your issue. I'm dealing with the hardest one that I've had so far. And the insurance company that we're working with is doing a great job. They're even reaching out to other insurance companies to possibly underwrite somewhere else. But they're doing a great job trying to do referrals and make it work for them. And they said, we'll get it figured out. So
good. Yeah, it's important to have.
I haven't had anything
quality.
yet up here not get insured yet.
Same. Yeah, that is good. Okay, what's the state doing to kind of help mitigate some of these challenges? So let's see. Here's a good one. They are exploring a wildfire risk mitigation fund. This sounds kind of like the Insurance Guarantee Association when I hear it. Looking for grants for homeowners to make fire-resistant upgrades. Never mind, that's not that. But grants for homeowners to make fire-resistant upgrades to improve insurability. Not everybody can afford to have someone come out and masticate their land. So that would be kind of cool to have that because, the more people with defensible spaces that are taking care of the ladder fuels on their property, it doesn't allow things to grow. Like if we get a fire, it doesn't keep growing till it starts crowning, right?
No, absolutely. And I think especially when you start getting, density areas, where you have one person maintaining their property and somebody next door doesn't, even collecting items, right, that are flammable or anything else. And that can be an issue. But at the same time, I want as little government interference as possible.
True.
And the problem is when you put together these types of programs, they always come with strings, right? They come with taxpayer money. They come with government stipulations. They come with requirements. And ultimately, even though you can live next to somebody that, maybe they have a bunch of trash there or things that you don't like, well, you know what? That's their land. And I understand regulations, but at the same time, I want to do everything I can to be in an area and support deregulation and less government and less intrusion on life, right? It sucks because some people just suck and they're not going to do the right thing, right?
Yeah.
But that's what it is. That comes with freedom. People choosing to do crappy stuff.
Well said, Dave. So to wrap it up, yes, it's a potential concern on the horizon. It's not an issue at the moment. Insurance premiums here are still very manageable, especially compared to some of these other states. And Idaho's doing a great job with forestry management. So hopefully we can keep, insurance companies insuring people in Idaho.
Largest fire you've seen up here?
Maybe the one on the backside of Hayden Lake.
I think that was it. 8,000 acres.
So here, when I was a cop in California, when we worked in the Foothills, Sierra Nevadas, very dry. That's fires kicked up there all the time. And we had a saying, like when you look up in the hills and you see, it looks like a nuke went off, right? The mushroom cloud.
Oh yeah.
You're like, all right, I'm going to be here for a few days.
We call that a large column of overtime.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to work for a week. This sucks.
Exactly.
Yep.
I have not seen those up here.
No.
I've seen a couple that I'm like, oh, and then it's just like.
I haven't seen any mushrooming. I haven't seen any sideways columns, anything else like that indicate heavy winds. I haven't seen it. Like I said, we talk about this all the time. We have wind up here, but it's frontal winds, and we don't have the crazy wildfire risk that you have in other places. So it sucks that people are starting to have to pay more, and it's going to continue that way. I don't see Idaho insurance getting cheaper.
No.
Just being honest.
No.
Anything that's regulated by the government, I don't see it getting cheaper. We're not immune to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Well, hope this was informative. If you guys have questions, reach out. Dave would love to talk to you about fires.
Yeah.
It gives him an avenue, to explore his past.
I don't know much about many things.
But he knows a lot about fires.
Yeah.
It's good. It's useful information. So much appreciated. And if you guys are thinking about making the move up here, don't be scared of wildfires. It's still a good place to live. We would love to help you make that move. Give us a call. We'll connect you with the team and get you guys a beautiful new home right here in North Idaho.